the two best time scramble players in the world, for sure. Because the
Better than Magnus and Hikaru.
Yeah, time scramble. Purely, like, if you gave them 10 seconds. Their mouse skills and their hand-eye coordination and their ability to predict their opponents, just second to none.
Wow, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. But now we get to see a Sicilian on the board, and it's been a while.
Absolutely. It has been a while. That last match was a lot of symmetrical games, a lot of locked structures. Well, actually, this one's going to be locked as well. Neither player is going to be able to advance their D-pawn very much in this game. Here comes the light-scored bishop being saved. Maybe he will take the knight. Maybe he will take that knight. He could have taken either of those knights. Maybe he won't take the knight at all.
Well, I think the defining feature in these positions, Levy, it's always those central squares that white has the knight to jump onto d5. You've got the d4 spot, and then who gets a pawn break? Is it on the queen side? There's always b4 to watch out for. Or will one of the f-pawns move forward? And it does look cagey, with all pieces on the board, often all pawns not traded, till a lot of moves are made, but eventually the break arrives. And that's when it gets spicy.
Magnus already unhappy here? I don't really know with what. Of course, he has many choices. He can play short castle, he can move his d-pawn up a square.
I'd be surprised if he does trade at this point, because again, the storyline of those two squares at the center of the board, you go bishop takes knight, Alireza captures towards the center, and then suddenly, Alireza's got a beautiful d4 square, and you've got no jumping spots. He does instead continue with developing. I'm expecting both sides to castle soon, one of the knights to land on d5.
Magnus doesn't like the way that he's played this. I think he was just sort of improvising a little bit. And now he goes for this idea, knight to d5 and b4. I love when these guys play Sicilians because they either open the board and play something crazy or play a closed maneuvering type of game. And maybe Magnus thinks that this is the way to beat Alireza. Slow maneuvering chess.
It's also perhaps what he wants right now. You know, if you go into those complications, you go into Mikhail Tal's forest of complication. You know, 2 + 2 = 5, path out, wide enough for 1. The thing is, you look at Magnus, you get the feeling he's not only fighting his opponent, but he's also fighting himself right now. He has his hand on heads. It feels like he's in a bit of pain. And I think you want to keep it as simple and strategic as possible in these situations, till you're actually forced into those muddy waters.
Alireza will find a way.
He will find a way. He always does.
Yeah, he's going to find a way. Right now, he's got some ways to maybe strike back also with the b-pawn. I don't think what he wants to play here is pawn takes pawn. That move gives away a lot of space on the queen side. It helps Magnus open up a little bit further. But now where do you reposition your pieces? Here I would be tempted to offer a trade of knights. So move the knight on d7, that's a little further back, to really either square. But that comes with problems too. Because then you're no longer defending the pawns in the center of the board, and he does it, but I don't love this, because right now, if Magnus were to take the knight on c6, and we can pull up an analysis, but this is a very fascinating position. There's an opportunity now with that knight no longer defending these pawns, that if you take, you know, there's going to be double pawns. So for example, bishop takes, pawn takes, knight takes bishop, queen takes, and just something very easy. Take these pawns. This is just a little ugly, no? Like,
this looks beautiful for white, and I think we're walking right into this line that you're showing.
All right, enough analysis board. We go back to the live position. Thank you very much.
That was spot on, Levy, and I just want to say, I mean, this is long-term advantage. You know, we highlighted that d4 square. The black knight has an entire Odysseus to make to get there. It's super far away. Meanwhile, that c5 weakness you highlighted, the bishop landing on e3 at any moment, the white knight can reroute itself to start hitting those targets. This is just long-term weakness for Alireza.
And what he's doing now is he's going to move his knight forward 3 squares, which is illegal. It is not a rook. But if we pull up the analysis board one more time, we will show you exactly what we were talking about. The knight will reposition itself there.
It is the Odysseus.
Right? And there. Now, it's not quite a rook, but it's working on it. Now, you can also maybe go here. And then maybe you can capture, because there's going to be a pin. h3 is a waiting move. Knight f8 is likely, right, Tanya?
I love it. I love that rerouting of the knight. You find the spot you want it on. It also stops any attack on that c5 pawn, and I think that's exactly where Alireza's knight is headed. Magnus has a move or two to try to set up counterplay. How does he do it? Is he going to go for the f-pawn moving forward break? He brings his queen out. So firstly, the c6 pawn is under attack, needs to be defended. You could slide your queen over, keep everything defended. I'm going to point out the b file as well. At some point, if you're Magnus, you're looking at doubling up there. Rook takes pawn is something that you need to watch out for as well.
That's one thing that actually Magnus, he didn't forget about. Alireza should not take his pawn with his rook. It would allow Magnus to take back a pawn right away with the queen, infiltrate on the left side of the board. Might even win on the spot. The rook might be trapped. Yeah, it basically is because you would... Anyway, he's not going to play rook takes pawn. All right, I would be bewildered. But one thing that is annoying here is the concept of time. Alireza's position will only work if every move that he wants to play comes on time. And Magnus is going to try to disrupt that. He's going to try to get in the way of those plans. Now Black has to play defense. Does he slide the queen over 2 squares? Frankly, I'm not even sure there's another move. But if you do that, you weaken the c5 pawn. The queen no longer defends that pawn. So that's why Alireza just hasn't played that move in 1 second. He's trying to decide, like, do I want to defend my c6 pawn? Is it important? What do I do here?
I do like this move that you're pointing out, because sliding that queen to that spot not only defends the c6 pawn, but the central e5 pawn, which means that Black's knight can actually jump to e6 without severing that connection between the queen and that center pawn. You don't end up losing it. Queen over, knight forward. Seems like a reasonable plan for Alireza, but he's got some other ideas.
He doesn't like something, clearly. He might not like that White's light-scored bishop could try to maybe go to a5. And again, we can show this. This is a very complicated game, so they're both going a little bit into the tank. For example, queen here, maybe he doesn't like something associated with this. Now, to be fair, if you go here, now you actually can capture this pawn. And after this, the queen would have to go here, and you're desperately defending everything. Then there comes this move. And it's like, wait a minute, now it's happening. It is happening. You're defending everything, but all of your pieces are back here. This doesn't feel very comfortable to play against Magnus. Anyway, let's see what happens after queen c7. Will Magnus play bishop d2? There are other ways to put pressure, Tanya.
That pawn formation is a long-term problem for Alireza. Magnus first just simply defends, guards his d3 weakness before getting his bishop out into the game. And this gives Alireza just enough time to jump into the center with his knight.
Just enough time to threaten to do it. Then the bishop move would still threaten the spin, but he goes there. And maybe he's going to take the knight with the bishop. Honestly, both look okay, to be fair. But in a close game like this, that light-squared bishop for Black is a real problem.
That's a beautiful positional point you make, Levy, that a knight versus bishop imbalance in that case would definitely give Magnus something to play for. There will be pawn advances later on. Just a positional solid point there. Bishop e3 played. Alireza won't jump in just yet. But the problem is, as long as that knight is there, you're not finding great squares for your bishop to come out.
Certainly. Honestly, you could even trade the knights. This is a position where the opposite-colored bishops sort of benefit the infiltrating side. It's generally said that they benefit the attacking side. When you attack a king, obviously, right? Because the other bishop won't be able to defend. But here, if the dark-squared bishop infiltrates, light-squared bishop needs to get out of the way. Like, he's in the way right now. He hasn't moved for 20 turns, but still he's defending.
Also, good luck finding a good square for that bishop to move to. Magnus looking at infiltration squares and maybe even an endgame, another endgame grind by Magnus Carlsen coming up once the queen lands on b6. The black queen, a key defender of so many pawns. It comes with a lot of ideas if you get that out of the way. Magnus Carlsen setting threats. This is more dangerous than the bar implicates right now.
It's more dangerous because of the clock. So we know that Alireza is going to get into low time situation, but at least in the previous game, the only piece types remaining on the board were king, rook, pawn. If you then add queen, and even no queen, you add bishop, knight, more rooks, much more pawns, he's not going to defend this. Like, he's just not going to defend this with that much time. Then he's already maybe made a slight inaccuracy. Now the queen trade's coming. Yeah, this is Magnus at work.
It, of course, lands. It's Magnus Carlsen. He'll take you to endgame every single day of the year right now. Queen b6, Alireza Firouzja, does he trade? Does he decline it? Does he step forward with the queen? The problem here is this is such a Magnus position and the anti of Alireza chess. You know, he's always one to play for the initiative, for the dynamics. He wants a combative position where there are opportunities for both players to go wrong. And this is just one-sided. You have to sit, you have to suffer. He tries to keep the pieces on the board. Magnus now looking at a rook infiltration. The knight on the other side of the board. Full board awareness by Magnus. Knight coming to f5.
What a move. Just have to say, like, in the middle of all that, he just pops the knight out. Wow, Alireza's voluntarily giving the bishop. He could have moved his pawn there to make a spike. But that would have weakened him, and it would have blocked the bishop. He does this. He's like, take my bishop. I don't need it.
And that was a sneaky bishop retreat by Alireza. Magnus's knight jump was not only aggressive, it was against Alireza's idea to pin that knight to the rook on d1. Bishop to h5 would have landed, given Alireza a lot of counterplay. Magnus shuts that down, and now he's going to shift his focus back to the left flank, looking at potential doubling up.
That's a nice move. Now the knight and the bishop on the right side of the board are sort of locked up in battle. Alireza's knight and Magnus's bishop are also locked up in battle, pointing at the same stuff. And everything is going to happen on the left side. It's going to happen on that B file, the open file, the only one where Magnus's rook sees the end of the board. His queen is applying pressure. And when we say pressure, we mean you're kind of looking at the enemy pawns and the opponent can't move pieces due to the necessity of defending them, which is what's happening right now. Yeah, Alireza's just, I mean, that move is just like, I don't have a move. I have to make a move. I have to maybe stop the rook coming in, but I don't love it, Tanya.
And I totally understand why. Let's just compare all of Magnus's pieces to Alireza's right now. The bishop's opposite color complexes control different squares and can never be challenged. Magnus's bishop has clear targets in the position. Alireza's bishop staring at granite right now, nothing, nowhere to go to. You've got the beautiful queen on a5 tying down the black rook. Meanwhile, the queen on d6 is doing a defensive job so far, keeping those double pawns guarded. So it is also a passive piece currently. The rook on b1 far more active than the rook on d7, always looking at ideas like a rook lift to the third rank, defend d3, and then line up, double up on the b file. The knight on h4, also a very active piece. For Alireza, he needs to time a knight jump and needs to time it well. This is Magnus passing the ball and saying, you're running out of moves and time.
a4 is just so, it's so mean.
It's mean.
It's just such a mean move. Like, you don't do anything. You just hit the ball back.
You just say, I'm enjoying my position, and I know you're clearly not.
Magnus can play rook b6 and just go for the pawn. And that a pawn is going to win him the game. What's amazing is Alireza lost. Like, if he loses this game, he would have lost it on the 10th move. That was the move on which Magnus got a big positional transformation. And he just never got back into the game. But we'll see. Because Alireza is the one guy, like Magnus didn't, I don't know, I guess he's trying to reposition, but let's just quickly pull up the analysis board. As I said that, right? I mean, why didn't Magnus go here? Like, I don't know. They're obviously way better than we are, but... And then he would have come back with the queen, maybe?
That's a great question. The only defensive resource I see in this position is perhaps to step back with the queen, pinning it. Maybe that was on Magnus's radar, which is why he first moved his queen away, but then, looking at that infiltration.
Don't you, like, at minimum win a pawn here? Like, I don't know.
With you. It looks very strong. Something about this Magnus Carlsen did not like, and instead we see a different approach right there. And now Alireza has managed to regroup a little bit. You know, the a-pawns moved forward, the rooks come to the center, you've got this battery down on the d-file. And it's not so easy to get to the pawns anymore. I think that was a very critical moment.
Certainly he didn't like something, and I wouldn't dare to ask what. I'm sure they see a whole lot more. But now, hey, it's exactly what we said. Magnus is shaking his head a little bit. We don't have clocks. Oh, there they are. 207, 427.
He's still up on the clock, but where is the breakthrough here? You know, you pointed out that rook infiltration, rook coming in, threatening. It made it look easy. Now you have to work towards getting that one more time. And suddenly all of black's pawns are defended as well.
Now today on the cast, we've talked about, I have mentioned that in my opinion, the biggest weakness we've seen this year, both from Magnus and from Hikaru, is time scramble play. Now, the benefit for Magnus is that with 420 versus 140, he's not scrambling. Still, when the other person has low time, the other person plays extremely fast to avoid losing on the clock, Tanya. And that actually could lead to Magnus transforming the game really fast at some moment.
He's trying to transform it just now. Alireza offered a repetition right there when he got his bishop back. Magnus did not even think about it. The knight remains there. Instead, he lines up the queen behind the rook, again eyeing that b6 square. It's game on.
Magnus's win chance here is over 90%. In this particular game, I mean, you just cannot be down 3 minutes with all these pieces on the board. I said it a long time ago.
And now, for the first time, there is a pawn hanging. It's the question mark, but ignore it. The problems are long-term for Alireza. The position's passive long-term. Bishop takes pawn, a big threat.
And we see from his face, I mean, the clock makes you think you're losing. I mean, it's 98% Magnus wins this game now.
Levy, this might be the moment that maybe Alireza can break free. Can he just force matters here? You go bishop takes knight, jump in, but instead he goes for a different approach. Alireza is extremely passive in this one.
This is the Magnus effect. I mean, he had bishop takes knight, knight into d4. You have to force something, and he's just shaking his head. He's almost frozen. That's it. And now, I don't know how you survive this. You cannot transform this position.
It was that one moment that Alireza had where he could have traded the bishop for the knight. And look at that. Now Magnus Carlsen on a path for this knight, and it's going to be a long one. Where is it headed?
I have no idea. I think he's literally playing the clock. Rook b8, and Alireza finds the best move. This man, 38 seconds on the clock. This is heart attack type of chess.
And the reason this is so strong is if Magnus doesn't relinquish this control, that rook was about to land on that b4 square and win the b line.
Magnus' heart rate is going to cross 100. There is no way he's going to be able to keep it together. Tanya, we have seen this year. It's climbing.
Alireza's under 40 seconds. Magnus has 3.5 minutes on the clock.
Yep.
Majors on the board, minors on the board.
Rook B, he has queen b1. Yeah, the king's under fire. This is not easy, Tanya, but no, 29 seconds is just, it's so crazy.
Alireza needs to stop doing this to himself. You can survive it once, but can you survive it again? He hits the white rook right now. Magnus has to defend it. The black knight ready to jump on f4. The knight and queen coming into the attack.
There are so many ways to lose with white. And there it is. He's crossed 100. He's still up 3 minutes nearly on the clock.
And there is one way to lose from black right now, and that is the clock. It's 28 seconds for Alireza Firouzja. Is he going to bring in the knight into the game? Will the bishop find an inroad into white's camp? He takes it.
Alireza looking, now he's looking for the solution of the position, but if Magnus keeps pieces on the board, he will literally just win on time.
He's threatening to line up the rook and the queen on the home rank. Magnus can bring his knight out, hit that rook. 22 seconds on the clock. This is a flag fest.
I'm amazed he's got the heart rate under 100, by the way. This is cool, calm, and collected. Really.
Unbelievable. Rook takes pawn. Magnus Carlsen thinking, how does he play on Alireza's clock? How does he keep the tension alive in this position? Hits the rook slides away.
And now you jump out with the knight. Maybe you trade the queens. There is no way Alireza can play a full endgame with 20 seconds on the clock unless Magnus blunders, and he's blundered an attack on his king, Tanya.
Well, before the endgame, there will be a middle game. Is he coming for a checkmate? There's a check on f4. There's a check on the first rank. 21 seconds.
This is so crazy. He's literally beating him because he's making him blank a little bit.
Queen takes pawn?
He's just frozen, and Alireza is winning. He's winning.
He's giving a check. That knight is about to fall. The knight comes back. Another check. Now, if Alireza wants, he can repeat the position. King to h2, queen f4. You can't go on the first rank.
I think he will. He's going to make a draw, but he doesn't know he's winning. He has a bishop reroute here that wins him the game.
That is impossible to find.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Alireza needs to spot bishop to e8 and give a check on a4.
But it's likely just going to end in a draw. Magnus maybe is not going to repeat. Is he actually thinking of flat? No chance.
He's absolutely thinking about it. He's 16 seconds. Alireza has to find the bishop retreat, reroute to that a4 square to win the game. 16 seconds is far too less to spot that idea.
I love these heart rate monitors, Tanya. 107. He's
oh my God.
Oh, but there was a win there. But Alireza had to make a move so fast. Oh, and
he finds it.
He finds the reroute, but it's too late. He was winning on the last move, but it's a 1 minute time gap now.
Oh my God, he's coming for that a4 pawn. Alireza is winning on the board, losing on the clock.
This is unfathomable. Magnus is going to go below a minute. He has not played well in the scramble. It's what I called, but can he right the ship? 12 seconds for Alireza.
And Magnus is back in the game as he chases the queen away. The queen steps over. Magnus defends everything for now. Alireza has an extra pawn, but no time, and that pawn falls as well.
And Magnus is going to run the king out, and he's going to survive, and he's going to win this game.
He's up a pawn now is what Magnus Carlsen. 9 seconds. Alireza needs more time. He needs better clock economy. Magnus defends it, and Alireza knows it's 7 seconds. He's not saving this one.
He has to use his h-pawn. There's very limited hope. Yeah, he's just playing too fast, and there's going to be...
There was a checkmate in one, which was blocked. Magnus offers a queen trade. It's declined. The knight jumps in. How many moves can you even make with 3 seconds on the clock? A trade, and this position's lost. The clock is lost. Alireza's lost, and Magnus takes the lead.
Wow. Wow. He actually got a chance in the scramble. Can you believe it? Like, I don't know how he manages to pull this off, but it's what we said. So he said, at some point I said 98%. And can you believe it? He was actually